What if you never had to chase an invoice again? What if your financial books could close themselves? And a contract that takes a lawyer 3 days to review could be scanned and flagged in 5 minutes. That is exactly what Anthropic launched on May 13th, 2026. It is called Claude for Small Business, and if you run a company of any size, this is probably the most practical AI release of the year. Welcome to Simple&Plain AI, where we break down real AI tools in plain language without the hype. Let's get into it. Small businesses represent 44% of US GDP and employ nearly half the private sector workforce. And yet, most small business owners who use AI today are still stuck at the chat window. They type a question, get an answer, and then go manually copy-paste it somewhere else. The tools have been there for a long time. The problem was that nobody built the right bridge between AI and the actual software small businesses run on every day. That is what Claude for Small Business is trying to fix. Daniela Modi, president of Anthropic, said the goal is to take the work that piles up after hours. Planning payroll, chasing invoices, kicking off a marketing project, and hand it off to Claude so the business owner does not have to do it at midnight. So how does it actually work? Claude for Small Business is a toggle install inside Claude Cowork, which is Anthropic's desktop collaboration tool. You flip it on, connect the software you already use, and you are done. There is no new platform to learn. The integrations it ships with cover the most common small business stack. Intuit QuickBooks and PayPal for finances, HubSpot for sales and CRM, Canva for creative assets, DocuSign for contracts, and Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 for everyday operations. Think of it as Claude suddenly having access to your entire business, with your permission and within your existing security boundaries. Before we get into the specific features, it is worth understanding what makes this different from just using Claude in a chat window. The difference comes down to 3 levels of AI maturity. First is manual work. You do everything yourself. Second is a general chatbot. You describe what you need, it gives you text, and then you act on it manually. Third is what Claude for Small Business introduces: pre-built agents that already have the context, the connections, and the instructions set up. You give the command, and the work actually happens. The key distinction is that these are not prompts that generate output you then implement. They reach into your live data and take structured action. The product ships with 30 ready-to-run items, 15 agentic workflows, and 15 skills. Connectors are the pipes. They are the secure API links between Claude and your live business data in QuickBooks, HubSpot, and so on. Skills are the brain. Pre-packaged, task-specific instructions that define exactly what Claude does with that data. And workflows are the action. Multi-step automated processes that chain everything together without you manually moving information between systems. Let's go through what this looks like in practice, starting with finance, where most small business owners feel the most pain. There is a cash flow snapshot tool that analyzes your accounts, receivable and payable, from QuickBooks to generate 30, 60, and 90-day forecasts with flagged risks. There is a payroll planning workflow that scans your upcoming payroll against your bank balance and PayPal settlements, so you know whether you have enough cash before payday. There is a margin analyzer that lets you simulate price changes before you commit to them. And there is the monthly close workflow, which reconciles your books against settlements, writes a plain English profit and loss summary, and exports a packet you can send straight to your accountant. That last one alone is worth thinking about. For most small businesses, Closing the month is a half-day task involving a lot of manual comparison. This workflow compresses that significantly. One of the clearest demonstrations of how this works end-to-end is the invoice chaser. Here is the flow. Claude continuously monitors your QuickBooks data for overdue invoices in the background. When it finds them, it cross-references your PayPal payment history and looks at how you have communicated with that client before. Then it drafts a reminder, gentle in tone if it is a regular client, more direct if they have a pattern of late payment. Then it stops. It does not send anything. It waits for you to review and click approve. That approval step is by design, and we will come back to why that matters. On the sales side, the HubSpot integration unlocks tools for managing your pipeline and keeping your CRM data clean. The lead triage workflow scores your inbound leads by company fit and engagement, then drafts personalized follow-up emails ranked by priority. The call list tool gives you your top 5 warm leads each day with suggested talking points based on their email history. The content strategy workflow pulls your top-selling product categories and generates a 30-day editorial calendar from them. And the CRM cleanup tool audits your database, flags duplicate profiles, and identifies contacts that have gone cold. For small teams where one person manages sales, operations, and customer service simultaneously, these tools act as a part-time analyst who has already done the data work before you open your laptop. The campaign deployment workflow is a clear example of multi-system coordination. You start with your HubSpot data. Claude identifies slow-moving periods in your revenue or underperforming inventory. It then plans a campaign strategy based on that gap. Next, it connects to Canva via API to automatically build on-brand visual assets and draft matching social captions. Finally, the assets and posting schedule are queued in HubSpot for your review before anything goes live. That is 4 systems: HubSpot for data, Claude for strategy, Canva for creative, and HubSpot again for scheduling, connected in one uninterrupted flow. For HR, there are 2 standout workflows. The hiring pipeline tool generates an optimized job posting, creates structured interview questions, drafts the offer letter, and prepares a DocuSign signature envelope, all from a single command. And the policy Q&A tool is genuinely useful for any team with employees. You upload your employee handbook, and Claude becomes an agent that can instantly answer questions like how does PTO carry over, or what is the reimbursement policy for client lunches, through Slack or email, without a manager having to field every message manually. There is also a set of business intelligence briefings that give you a pulse on your company throughout the week. Monday morning, you get a forward-looking snapshot, cash position, open sales pipeline, and your 3 most critical priorities for the week. Midweek, you can pull a live dashboard that aggregates active metrics from every connected tool into a single view. And Friday evening, there is a briefing that compares current revenue against prior weeks, highlights team wins, and flags anything that needs weekend attention. This is the kind of executive dashboard that used to require a consultant to build. Here, it is a scheduled command. The standout feature of the entire suite is the contract review capability. You upload a contract, an NDA, a vendor agreement, a master service agreement. Claude reads it in plain English, identifies severity-rated red flags so you know which issues are critical versus just worth noting, and produces specific suggested edits you can export as a Word document with tracked changes. What would take a lawyer 1 to 3 days and cost several hundred to several $1,000s Claude completes in roughly 5 minutes, included in your paid Claude subscription. This does not replace a lawyer for high-stakes litigation or complex custom deals. Anthropic is clear about that. But for the routine commercial documents most small businesses sign every month, this changes the math considerably. The value gap here is significant. Traditional legal review means multi-thousand-dollar retainers, days or weeks of turnaround time, and output in dense legalese. Claude's contract tool, included in paid Claude plans, delivers results in about 5 minutes in plain English with exportable tracked change edits. The right use cases are everyday commercial documents, standard NDAs, vendor agreements, service contracts. For complex bespoke deals and litigation, still hire a lawyer. Getting started is deliberately simple. You open the Claude desktop app, go to Claude Cowork, navigate to plugins, and search for the Small Business Pack. One click installs it. Then you connect your tools, QuickBooks, HubSpot, whatever you use, by authenticating them through the connector settings. That immediately unlocks all 30 ready-to-run skills and workflows. If you use different software, say Xero instead of QuickBooks or a different CRM, you can also customize the skill definitions to adapt them to your stack. What ties all of this together is a routing layer that acts as a central dispatcher. You do not have to know which tool handles which task. You just describe what you need in natural language, and Claude routes your request to the right agent, finance, sales, HR, or legal. It acts as a single interface to your entire business operation, with a human always as the final checkpoint. Getting started is deliberately simple. You open the Claude desktop app, go to Claude Cowork, navigate to plugins, and search for the Small Business Pack. One click installs it. Then you connect your tools, QuickBooks, HubSpot, whatever you use, by authenticating them through the connector settings. That immediately unlocks all 30 ready-to-run skills and workflows. If you use different software, say Xero instead of QuickBooks or a different CRM, you can also customize the skill definitions to adapt them to your stack. For the initial configuration, a setup command walks you through mapping your data sources step by step. Start with your 2 most important pipelines, typically your accounting software and your CRM. For more complex custom workflows, Anthropic points to no-code platforms that can connect additional systems in 15 to 60 minutes without needing a developer. The philosophy throughout is that you do not need technical expertise to use this. You need to know your business. Now, the question most business owners will have: is it safe to let this loose on real business data? Anthropic has built a deliberate answer into the design. Claude does the heavy lifting, but it does not take action without your explicit approval. Nothing sends, nothing posts, nothing pays until you click approve. This applies across everything: emails, social posts, payment queues, contract signatures. The AI prepares, the human decides. For HR, there are 2 standout workflows. The hiring pipeline tool generates an optimized job posting, creates structured interview questions, drafts the offer letter, and prepares a DocuSign signature envelope, all from a single command. And the policy Q&A tool is genuinely useful for any team with employees. You upload your employee handbook, and Claude becomes an agent that can instantly answer questions like how does PTO carry over, or what is the reimbursement policy for client lunches, through Slack or email, without a manager having to field every message manually. On data privacy, your existing software permissions carry over completely. If an employee does not have access to a QuickBooks report today, they will not be able to pull it through Claude either. Claude inherits your existing permission structure, not a new one. And on team and enterprise plans, Anthropic does not train its models on your business data by default. Your proprietary records stay yours. Anthropic has also launched 2 companion programs alongside this product. First, in partnership with PayPal, there is a free online course called AI Fluency for Small Business, available on demand right now. It is taught by actual small business owners and covers how to identify which tasks in your business are right for AI and how to do it responsibly. Second, the Claude SMB Tour is making stops in 10 U.S. cities through the spring. Free half-day workshops, and attendees receive a 1-month Claude Max subscription to start experimenting. Links to both are in the description. If this breakdown was useful, subscribe. We cover new AI tool launches and practical explainers twice a week, and there is a lot more coming. See you in the next one.